I don't have the best memory. I remember DBD sessions as clusters of survivor or killer experiences. The other night, I played some survivor matches, and I don't remember the killers or the maps, but I can tell you that I felt genuine frustration during a chase against a Krasu, and it led to me not playing another survivor match that night. When I next played killer, that frustration didn't carry over. I didn't hold it against anyone, but it definitely lingered. So in the following killer games, I was particularly merciful and I had some very pleasant interactions with survivors. Naturally, the next day I went into the survivor matches in a good mood. The moment I remember best was this Myers letting me play a full song of Bardic, which made me really happy. I carried that joy into my next killer session when I spared a Dwight and gave him Hatch. What can we take away from this? Well, I just wrote a whole video inspired by this very sequence of events. So buckle in and let's talk about how we treat each other in video games. Why be respectful? Let's start with a common question I've often seen whenever I talk about how I play Dead by Daylight. Why? Why play nice? Why care what your opponent thinks? I'd like to say that I have some big moral reason about what we owe to each other as human beings. But the truth is, I just feel bad when I'm rude to someone that's placing their trust in me, or who hasn't done anything to deserve it. I get this pit in my stomach and I feel nauseous. So I play nice to avoid that. Nice is a strong word. I still kill people. More accurately, I play with respect to my opponents. Respect in DBD. What is it? Why is it? Showing respect to strangers in this game might at first be mistaken for the infamous rulebook that so many players despise. Basically, there's this unwritten rulebook where mostly survivors give killers a list of things they're not allowed to do, otherwise they're boring, lame, bad at the game, and a list of other undesirable traits. There are certainly entitled survivors that exist in this game, but I imagine there are way fewer than the DBD content space might suggest. So what is the difference between the DBD rulebook and DBD etiquette? The rulebook contains sweeping, overgeneralizing rules. Things like no meta perks, no tunneling, no camping, no playing specific killers. The rules shame and guilt you for playing in seemingly unpopular ways. Etiquette is not a rule enforced by your opponent, it's an olive branch extended by you. A choice to engage in behavior that might not give you a competitive advantage, made for the sake of your opponent's enjoyment. Showing etiquette is a form of respect, like a killer opting to chase the unhooker when a tunnel is available, or deciding to use your M2 ability when you can get the M1 easier. These decisions matter to me. Showing respect is an acknowledgement that you're going against a person who also wants to enjoy the game. I promise you, these actions are not isolated incidents. It's easier to see the toxicity and negativity of the game, but your choices in every trial have an impact. Do our actions matter? A large rift in this community comes from its asymmetry. Survivor mains not understanding killer mains, and vice versa. And amongst all of these disagreements, I've definitely had times where I felt overwhelmingly alone. Feeling like my experience is isolated and nobody else plays like me or wants to play like me. But that's just not true. We influence everyone we play with or against in every trial. Your choices can impact your opponent and their opponents and their opponents. Yes, this has been talked about before. The butterfly effect, being the change you want to see in the world, but it deserves a section here. Do you want to be the killer or the survivor that makes people walk away from the game frustrated and upset? Or do you want to be the reason that someone comes back to DBD? I give people Hatch. I let survivors play their instruments. I engage in moments of whimsy because people have done that for me, and I'm hoping that these folks will continue that behavior. That's all this is. It's hope that my actions are in some way making a flawed game better. Survivors/killers haven't been nice to me. I can already hear the comments being typed, but survivors/killers haven't been respectful to me. That sucks. It really does. It sucks that some of you have faced bully squads, toxic streamers, BMing, slurs, death threats, and anything else under the sun that bad eggs might throw at you. But you actually don't need someone else to be the first person to act when it comes to showing kindness or respect. You can make the first move, and you don't need a reason. I think that respect can and should be shared without an expectation of something in return. This killer doesn't have to let me go just because we had a nice moment, and this survivor doesn't have to play nicer just because I'm struggling. What is respect but doing something that you don't need to do for the sake of someone else? I'm not pushing for everyone to play the exact same way. That's boring, and it would take away from the uniqueness of Dead by Daylight. There are countless ways to play Killer or Survivor, and so very few of them are the wrong way to play. The wrong way to play. Yes, I said very few, and not none, because there are wrong ways to play. The main two examples that come to mind for both sides are teabagging in the exit gate or waiting out the entire endgame timer for the killer to see you, and humping the survivor until they bleed out or for a prolonged period of time. There's no competitive advantage, and the justification of it's just a game or I find it fun really doesn't hold up because it's just being disrespectful for the sake of being disrespectful. It's not funny, it's not clever, it's been done too much. People who do this actively make the game worse. Do not be like them. That's it. Those are the only two examples I can think of as being purely disrespectful and not fun in the slightest, in a game where you have nearly infinite options. Speaking of, let's talk about the most common choice that people make. Let's talk about the DBD meta. The meta, the community, and free will. The elusive, ever-shifting yet never-changing DBD meta. A system decided on by the community of what is strong and what is weak. An example of meta perks are Pain Resonance and Grim Embrace. They consistently slow down or block generators, so killers choose them to counter the survivor meta perks like Hyperfocus Stakeout. It's a constant back and forth between the killer and survivor side. Gen rush perks become popular, so slowdown perks become popular. Chase perks become popular, so exhaustion perks become popular. It took me far too long to realize this, but you don't actually need to run meta perks or play meta characters. You don't! You have complete freedom over how you play, especially as a killer. As a survivor, I'd advise being a team player above all else, but you really don't need the strongest perks to do that. In my wonderful Discord community, which you should join if you haven't already, I often see complaints with the underlying implication of, I have to play this way because my opponents keep on doing this. I have to play Ghoul because I keep losing as Pig. I have to run Slowdown because gens are going too fast. You can make the choice to change how you play in reaction to your previous games, but you are not being forced. I ran slowdown perks on twins for years because I was terrified of slipping up and losing control over the game. When I started running the perks I would rather run, I'll admit I lost more often. But you know what didn't happen? I didn't die. I didn't explode. And I continued to enjoy the game. Even more so because I was playing how I wanted to, rather than running boring number boost perks. Your win rate, the meta, that DBD content creator, none of these should dictate how you play. Use your precious free will to choose your playstyle and killer based on what brings you joy. Why do I follow this rule? This is what I enjoy. I don't always let people go. I don't always give my opponent what they want, but I always show respect to the people that I play with or against. And I'm happier for it. Prioritizing having a good, clean match over winning at all costs has drastically improved my enjoyment of this game. This isn't a blanket rule that limits how I play. I don't intentionally lose as a survivor to give the killers an easy match, because easy matches aren't fun. They might be a good break from a series of difficult matches, but if you want to turn your brain off and kill everything that moves without a challenge, may I suggest looking for a PvE game. I give my opponents a challenge, I match their energy, and I acknowledge and appreciate even the smallest decisions made for my benefit. Before I move on to the conclusion, I would like to thank my wonderful Ko-Fi peoples. Thank you guys for funding the art I use in my channel. Special shout out my newest supporter, Ramen Hamster. This has been a video I've wanted to make for years, but I was always too nervous to tackle it or too busy to try. There's a lot of tribalism in this game, and it feels like a death wish to try to encourage empathy between survivors and killers. But I just want the most amount of people to have fun when they play this game, and to have a healthy relationship with Dead by Daylight. That's the goal. By playing with respect to my opponent, by sacrificing some amount of tactical or competitive advantage, I have fun in my matches. You can have fun at the expense of your opponent's enjoyment. That happens all the time. But I'm a firm believer in paying it forward, and I think that my kindness and respect given to the survivors that I face will result in more kindness and respect being shown in the game. Survivor players, remember that killers define every single trial. Without someone to chase you and slow you down, this would be a generator repairing simulator. Killer players, survivors are there to challenge you and attempt to escape from you. Without people to chase and hunt, this would be a walking simulator. We need each other. And the most important reminders of that are the interactions that cross the asymmetrical border when survivors and killers find common ground, like teaming up against a bot or bonding over an embarrassing play. Assume that your opponents have also had bad games. They've also lost terribly. They've also rage quit. They've also had their favorite characters and perks nerfed. You are not alone in your experience of Dead by Daylight, and you can make this game better by being the opponent you'd want to face.
I didn't wanna hear